All right. Looks like the incoming attendees have slowed down a little bit. I think it's a good time to start. Uh, got you scheduled for an hour. I imagine I can get this done a little quicker than that and give you some time back, but I want to make sure you get the information needed. So I really appreciate your time. I know everybody's busy, and I know every minute away from operations is a potential problem that you have to deal with later or lost revenue. So I do appreciate your time. Take a seat back, relax, grab a coffee or whatever time it is, wherever you're at, and you're going to hear about Scanco Software's Production Management Plus. Now, this is the enhancement to Sage's production management through Scanco Production Management Plus. Naturally, you probably have a lot of questions, and this might generate even more questions. That's all right. You can either use me as a resource for answers, or better yet, your Sage business partner. You know, they have an intimate knowledge of what you're doing. They'll be able to answer your entry-level questions first, and if we need, you know, further detail, I'm always available to help. Scanco's here to help. Talk to your representative, and they'll get you taken care of. Obviously, we won't be able to answer and get through everything and be able to kind of, you know, touch every single piece. So again, you know, make sure if you have questions, write them down, or if anything's confusing, you know, take notes so we can get that squared away. Typically, after 20 or 30 minutes, you should have a solid idea of what Production Management Plus is, its relationship to Sage's production management, and you should be able to understand if there's value in this application for your organization. And from there, we can take a look at what it might look like as far as an actual deployment. So how are we going to get all that done in the amount of time that we have? Well, I'm going to do my best to follow a very simple agenda, and I'll try not to get off topic and get into my tangents. That way you guys get the information needed in the time allotted. So the first thing we'll talk about is why PM Plus, right? So why us? Why Scanco? Why am I doing this presentation and telling you about this? How did we get here? Where are we going? And why is this important? We'll talk about some of the details and extras, some features and benefits for all of you who want to kind of see in black and white what it does. We'll get to talk about that. We will take a product tour. You'll actually get to see it. We're going to create a work ticket directly from the sales order so you can see how it works. And then, you know, we're going to discuss where you get it, how you get it, who you get it from, who supports it, some of the high level information that's going to be important for you guys to have on this recording for your future reference. But again, you know, don't worry if you lose the recording or don't have it or don't take notes or miss something. You know, Scanco Software is here to answer questions, and your Sage reseller is always available to help you out as well. All right. So who's Scanco, right? Why Scanco? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Well, I mean, since 1989, we've been providing software automation to the supply chain industry, right? So, you know, I know we're talking manufacturing here, but this just shows our pedigree, all right? We've been doing this and we've been in the Sage channel for over 30 years. And what we've noticed is, especially in the last decade, is the evolution of our distribution customers into either light manufacturers or assemblers or kit component creation. All of these different things these distribution companies are bringing in-house, and they need a way to track those dollars, those costs, that labor, all of that extra work that goes into, you know, providing that finished good or services for the customer. So naturally, manufacturing software is required to capture all that, unless you want to have, you know, a bunch of Excel databases or whatever else out there floating around to try and work with. You go with Sage and you get your production management to do your step-based manufacturing, right? So that's how you get into the production management game. Or maybe you're just a manufacturer and that's part of what you do, and you've been on work order and you just need the newest version. Either way, we're focused on providing top-tier, fully integrated automation solutions to help you get the most out of your ERP. And today we're talking about Sage 100. Right. Funny thing is, a lot of you might already be using some of our software and not even know it. You know, maybe you have some homework, go into your Sage system and pull up your installed modules listing, or maybe pull up your product registration screen, and you might see something like the barcode module. You might see something like a mobility or a multi-bin product. We have a full suite, work order. We've been in the work order game for decades, so we've got a full suite of work order efficiencies, additions to work order. And we'll talk about the relationship of that and production management here soon, because that's, again, the evolution of Scanco. We're always driving and listening and evolving. So this was a natural step for some of the software that we already had. All right, so I show you about this because I want you to know you're talking to the experts, right? We eat, sleep, and breathe manufacturing and distribution. That's all we do. So you're talking to the experts here. So why PM Plus? Why do this? Well, I mean, when production management came out, some of you might have been in the boat where you had work order and you looked at production management and realized there were some functionality gaps. There's one reason. We needed to bridge the gap between work order and production management. Like I said, Scanco had released over the decades those work order efficiencies to help build out the work order module, make it better for you, make it easier to use. We're going to do the same thing for production management because that's what the customer base needs. Because if not, you're going to another manufacturing software set, and we want to keep you here and we want to build it out and help you get the most out of what you're already using or what you plan to use. We understand the need. We understand the gap. We understand the difference between production management and operations management and how it might be difficult to determine which one is going to be more beneficial based on a few pieces of functionality. We get it. So we wanted to build out the production management plus suite to help give you a middle ground, help bridge that gap, give you a stop in between the two software sets. Your production management, historically out of the box, is going to be your make to stock software set manufacturing from Sage. Operations management is your make to order. Now, when I say make to order, it's more like think of it as make to a demand. So make for your demand. Those are the two software sets, and there was no in between. Now you have an in between with PM Plus, the make to order functionality from Scanco for production management. And we plan to do more as well. So we know there's always been a need to be able to create work tickets from the sales order screen. We've known that it's a hassle to go in between the screens, and that leaves opportunity for error or lost time or just slow additional transactional overhead. We get it. So we built that connection and we bridged that gap. So what does that mean in the long run? Well, Scanco has been hard at work for the last year, and we don't plan on stopping. Right? We already talked about some of the history and where we came from, and what we always strive to do is modernize our product sets. We're currently 60 days out from any Sage product release for compliancy, and we have over 40 software applications. So I tell you that so you know that when you come on with PM Plus, you're not going to be version locked, waiting years for an update so you can upgrade your Sage. Once we get the product update, 60 days, we can get you upgraded. So we're going to be able to support PM Plus at a very efficient rate. We're always looking to innovate and build out our software sets, add to it. Specifically for PM Plus, we're looking at outside processing and scheduling enhancements. Some of the things that work order right now has with the work order efficiencies, but production management doesn't have on its own. Some of the other things we're innovating, we want to be a full service solution provider for you. We're looking at automating your payments and accounts receivable. We brought on a professional services group to help with your manufacturing and distribution specific problems. Sometimes resources are limited for your reseller or your team, and maybe you need a little additional help. And if it revolves around manufacturing or distribution, why not have the experts be the consultants? So we brought a professional services group on. We're simplifying our offering into SaaS packages, subscription packages, to make it easy to understand what you have, where you need to go, what you can do, and for new customers, what's offered. And we're always looking to build out our other Sage offerings, whether it be Intact, Sage 300. We're dedicated to Sage. We've got a long relationship with Sage. I say that so you know that we're not going anywhere. We're an OEM developer. We'll be here with Sage and with you as long as you're on Sage. And then we're always looking to expand. We're not expanding into other ERPs, but we are expanding our offering across the Sage platform, and then always looking at how and listening at how we can expand our product offering to our current customers and future incoming customers. Don't worry, we're going to get to the PM Plus stuff soon. I just need to put a little background in there and get some information out so you have that available as well. Because to be honest, Production Management Plus makes make to order easy, right? The demonstration is only going to take 5 or 10 minutes, and we're going to be out of here, and you'll be like, wow, that was easy. And it's designed to be that way. So I want to make sure you have all this information here before we get to that and wrap up at the end. So currently, we talked about this a little bit, but I want to make sure everybody understands where we're at. In the Sage ecosystem, your true make to order or make to demand is only available with operations management, right? That's the other Sage manufacturing software set that maybe your reseller has talked to you about. You might know it as Job Ops, but it's been renamed within the last year to operations management. Production management out of the box is your make to stock, step-based manufacturing, step and date-based manufacturing. Now with PM Plus, like we said before, we can bridge the gap between those two. We have a lot of customers that might only need to be able to create those sales orders or create those work tickets in the sales order screen to fulfill that demand. They might not need all the other robust functionality to operations management. They might not be capacity-based scheduling or material constraint scheduling, some of these other fantastic things that operations management does. So we want to make things simple. We want to give them that ability without having to change their software set. So we build out Production Management Plus. That's going to give them the make to order, make to demand for Sage 100 production management. All right. So what are one of the issues that we solve? I've got customers that spend hours a day creating work tickets for their sales order demand. Okay. So if you're in a situation where you have employees, it's very time or labor intensive to create the work tickets for the sales orders, or you're seeing errors, or you're noticing things slip through the cracks, that's how you can work to develop the return on investment for Production Management Plus. Things that are nice to have are great, but things that you need are more important. So let's focus on that. And if you need help kind of determining if it's something of value for you, you're not exactly sure, work with your Sage reseller. They'll ask you some very specific questions, and that'll help them determine the need. You could work with Scanco. We'll do the same. We'll ask some specific questions that'll help us determine the need and the value, and then we can go from there. All right, so let's just talk about exactly what it does. All right, so this is going to be the black and white. These are going to be the bullet points of the functionality, and then we'll get into the software and take a look at what it does and match back to the line items here as best as we can. So why is Production Management Plus, and why is it going to be a game changer for you? Well, it's going to be depending on how you're going to use it and what you're experiencing today. So some of the features I just want to highlight here are the fact that we can create our work tickets for items that have a procurement type that are outside of maybe make to order. So you've got buy to stock, you've got all these other procurement types. We actually have the ability to allow you to create work tickets for those, or lock it down to only items that are make to order procurement type. We can match the order, the work ticket type coming out of the sales order to match up with the sales order. If it's an estimate, it'll come out as a work ticket estimate. So we can match those up. We support all the auto release and auto printing features for production management, so no problems there. We include order specific data for your Crystal report. So we're going to build out all the additional data that we're collecting onto your Crystal reports, along with a lot of other things, right? We've added some security events in here to allow you to gain more control over your manufacturing processes. We've given you the ability to add effective dates and use effective dates for bill of materials to change out your work ticket templates on the fly. So I guess all that's to say what we're doing is we're helping bridge the gap, like I said, between production management and operations management. These are more advanced manufacturing processes that are not native to production management, but with PM Plus give you that capability. So for all that, it's an annual subscription of $270 a month. So for a couple $100 a month, you can get make-to-order functionality for production management. This is where you need to do an analysis of your facility to see, if that's going to be worth it, if the time or errors or transactional overhead is worth the investment of a few $100s a month. Again, if you're struggling trying to figure that out, work with Sage Partner, work with us. We'll help figure that out. Some people it's going to be a home run and an easy yes no type situation. Some people might be a little more difficult. So don't be concerned about that until you kind of dig into the weeds. What do you get? You get a full year of support and updates. It's subscription, so anything that comes out or we add in, you're going to get it. We're going to help you get set up, get it configured. We're going to get you live. And if there's any problems, we're going to be there as a part of your team to help make sure that your deployment is successful. And you'll have access to our, support department. In case of any bugs or anything that happens down the road, we're going to be there at your side to make sure you are ready to go. I've been told for the first 30 customers to come on board for PM Plus from this webinar, you're going to get a discounted rate. I believe that rate is $250 a month, so you get to save a couple $100 by onboarding. Give me a call, let your reseller know if you want to jump on that. We just want to give someone who might be chomping at the bit to go a little bit of incentive to jump on and get started. That's some sales pitch. I won't do anymore. All right, that's it. I promise. All right, so where do I go for PM Plus? Well, you got to come to us. All right, so Scanco. You can come to me, Philip Hall. You can go to your Scanco designated rep. If you don't know who they are, you can go to sales@scanco.com and we will make sure you get connected with the right person. Now, this is different than production management, right? Production management goes through Sage. You got to get production management plus through us because it's an enhancement to production management. PM Plus is available. It's ready to go. So if you're ready to go, so are we. It's been released for a while and it's fully compatible with all of our other software sets that we have. Before you decide to onboard anything though, I highly recommend you work with your partner and us to fully vet your system and make sure there's no modifications or scripted tables or UDFs out there that we need to take a look at that might, pop up and give us a hiccup on our implementation. But who supports PM Plus? That's us, right? So, you're going to come to us for any of the support there. Sage is going to be your first line of defense for production management. But if your make to order is not working or those tickets aren't coming out or your buttons disappeared or it's not prompting you, then you would come to us and we fix you directly. So we're going to separate ourselves from Sage and the support of PM Plus. Another big question we get is how long does it take? Really, it depends. It depends on the complexity of your workflows and what you're doing. Depends on your data integrity, how much data, how many work tickets you have, or how many you need to create, or how many steps, or all of the different things that you're going to use. That all comes into play. And then availability. Scheduling has been one of the most difficult things in the last year, as you all know, with COVID and some of the other issues. You'd think that remote work and learning would make it easier for people to connect. It just seems that it doesn't. So the delivery time is going to be based on how fast and effectively we can get everybody together and get everybody to a good place. Because we're not just gonna, say, hey, we're gonna do 4 weeks and then off you go. If it takes 6 weeks, that's okay. We want to make sure it's right. But typically between 4 and 6 weeks from the time you say yes, let's do this, to the time we say, hey, you're ready. We recommend extra testing as much as you can, but you're ready to go in 4 to 6 weeks typically. So what's next, right? We talked about, evolving and growing and listening and hearing and understanding. And that's exactly what we've done. And really right now out in the channel, the loudest noise or the squeakiest wheel is for capacity-based scheduling for production management, right? Because right now production management has some date-based scheduling, but it lacks in some of the more advanced scheduling pieces, and then outside processing. So these are two product suites that we offered for old work order, the work order efficiencies, that a lot of our customers now are requesting or asking when they're going to be available. These are the two squeakiest wheels. If you have something else, or something on here is not on your list, or is on your list and not on mine, I want to hear from you. Let me know. You might be the one that turns your wheel into the squeakiest, and all of a sudden that functionality is going to be next on the roadmap. What we try and do is deliver the functionality that's going to help the most of our customer base, right? So sometimes yours might be at the end, sometimes your needs might be right out front. We listen and do our best to help make sure you get the most out of Sage Production Management, right? We're here to make your experience better. All right, so now we're gonna get into the fun stuff. We're 20 minutes in, we got plenty of time. We'll run through the software demonstration, and then I got a little bit of time at the end for some questions and answers. I already see 1 or 2 questions coming through, so I appreciate that. If you have anything else, please go ahead and you can put it in the question tab on the side, write it down, send it to me. I'll do my best to get everything answered as quickly as possible. So I'm going to move over to my demo machine, and I'm going to pull up my Sage 100. So as you can see, I've got Sage 100, I've got production management in here, I've got all my standard Sage modules. Now yours might look a little different than mine. I'm on 2022 with all the latest and greatest. But the concept, the idea, the layout is all going to be pretty similar. The first thing I want to do is go into inventory management and go into item maintenance, right? Because we talked about procurement type, and I want to grab any item. It doesn't necessarily matter, because right here in the procurement type, you're going to see we've added in the make to order procurement type. Here's the buy to stock, buy to order, the other procurement types that we know of. But now we're going to be able to do the make to order procurement type for this item. Now remember, we've got the ability to, even if this item was a make to stock item here in item maintenance, we can override that and create a work ticket for it, or we can set it up to where it won't allow us to do that because it's not a make to order item, right? So we give you a little extra control you can or don't have to use. All right, so that's the first change. No, we don't save that. Now we're going to go into sales order, because the whole idea here is bridging the gap between your work order module or production management work ticket entry and your sales order module. So what we've done is we've gone into the sales order options, and we've given you an entire tab, right? We've created tab 9, and this is our make to order tab. We talked about the future and what we want to do as far as maybe outside processing or scheduling. We've got some real estate here where we plan to do that work and keep all of your PM plus functionality, tables, and fields in one place. Here's that button up here, the restrict to make to order procurement type. So when I have this selected, it's only going to allow me to create work tickets in my sales order lines for items that have the make to order procurement type. That's it, the only ones. If that's not checked, I can make a work ticket for any item on there as long as the other settings are configured appropriately. So nice and easy, gives you a little additional control. And then here is how we can actually create the work tickets from the sales order line or sales order, however you're going to do it. We can automatically create it. So every time we run through a line, it's going to create a work ticket. We can just turn it off if we don't want to do it for now or for a certain time or whatever it may be. We can have it manual, which is what I'm going to leave it on, because I want to be able to hit the button, because I'm betting there's some work order folks out there that are used to that make to order button. So I want to show you that. And then we can set it to prompt. So at the end of every line entry, when you move to the next line, it'll prompt you, hey, do you want to make a work ticket for this? And you can yes, no, and go from there. I'm going to leave it at manual, and I'm going to leave my default work ticket class at make to stock here, because that's the only one I have set up currently. You'll work on these with your partner to get set up, but this is the work ticket class that is going to come out default when this is made. And this is the work ticket status. So this is another cool piece that we did, where we can automatically release it when it's made. That's great. We can bring it out as an estimate or open, but we can also match the order type. And this is where I talked earlier about, if a sales order is a quote or an estimate, then we can release a work ticket as a estimate or a quote. So we can match the work ticket order type or work ticket status to the order type. I'm just going to set mine at released so I can work off them right off the bat. And then we can copy from a template or a bill of materials, or we can do a manual. You could set up to where you're creating a work ticket from square one. So if you need to go through and make a new work ticket, you have the ability to do that depending on your need. I'm going to leave it at bill of materials because we're fully integrated with the bill of materials module. And if you have bill options in there, I'm going to show you how that's not a problem for our make to order. I've got check to prompt for effective date and explode subassemblies. I want to be able to explode all my subassemblies onto that ticket, make sure everything's getting made. And my effective date. If you're not using effective date, talk to your partner about what that means. But basically, it's when is this bill revision going to take place? When is the effective date of this ticket? So I've got that all in there just so I can show it to you. That requires some configuration, some additional digging, but additional parameters and controls for your manufacturing facility. All right, so those are the options. We got them all set up. Let's go see how this works. So I'm in a sales order tab, and I'm going to create a sales order. Just going to create a new sales order and grab a customer. I like Breslin, and they don't have any credit holds or anything, so I can usually get through here. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a line on here. I like the desktop here because I know it's got a bill and it's got some bill options. This is the Sage data, demo data, so I'm sure you've seen all this before. And so we'll go through, and I'm going to make 5 of these, or I'm going to sell 5, right? Because we're in the sales order. And while I'm on this tab, on this line, because I have my options set up as manual, you will see my buttons up here for my manual creation of the work ticket. So once I've got to where at what point the process is where I want to create that ticket, it might be a little different for everybody. I can click the button to create the ticket. This knows that there's a bill of material with options in there. It's only got 1 required, so I'm just going to do the 1 required, and I'm going to throw a floppy on there, and then I'm just going to use those 2 options. No need to fill out all the rest. Here's where I'm able to maybe put my effective date as March 31st, and I want to explode all my subassemblies. So now, based on the information that I put in, based on my parameters, my setup, and my configuration, and because I hit the button manually, it's created my work ticket. And because I have the option, yeah, no faxing. We don't need to see that. Okay, let's go in and take a look at that work ticket since I just canceled that. We'd go into production management, go to work ticket entry, and you'll see that work ticket sitting in here that I just made. $224 is for sales order 32. Let's just go make sure that was the right sales order that we just made. Make sure you guys see that it's all connected. There we go, 32. So this is sales order 32, and on my lines, it's already automatically assigned it to that work ticket number. And if I pull up my work ticket entry, you'll see that it's referred to it in the sales order field as well, right? So we have created this work ticket directly from the sales order line. And you see, even though I closed out the printing or whatever happened, it happened automatically. It was already done and already made, right? Here are my bill options built into there. And if I go to my materials are all in here based on the bill of materials, its sub-assemblies, and my effective date. So here's all your materials, your steps, everything you need for this work ticket. And you see it was put out as released. Again, if this was an estimate, it would match the sales order estimate as well. All right, so that's Production Management Plus, right? Your make to order functionality. You've got your sales order options where you can configure how it interacts with Sage. And then you're creating work tickets directly from the sales order line, whether it be automatically prompted or at your leisure, right? So, out of the box, when a sales order is made, someone's going to have to go and create a work ticket for that sales order. So they're going to be bouncing in between, the work ticket entry screen and the sales order screen. That leaves a lot of chance for error, delay, just time consumed and transactional overhead. It's just, if you find yourself in that situation or scenario, PM Plus is the software set for you. I told you it's pretty quick once we get to the software demonstration, right? We designed it to be easy. We designed it to be straightforward. We don't want anybody having to really scratch their heads to figure it out. So I hope I was able to convey, the software's functionality and its importance and some information behind it in an effective way. Again, if you have additional questions or you need anything else, you can work with your Sage reseller or come to Scanco and work with us. I got a couple questions I'm going to answer here real quick, and if I didn't get to them, if I don't get to yours, I will either reach out directly or connect with your reseller and start the process there. But one I saw come in right off the bat early on is PM Plus compatible with Sage Premium? Yes. So if you're running SQL version of Sage, no problem. PM Plus, we're good to go. Remember, we're compliant within 60 days of Sage product update releases. I know we're in our compliancy run here soon, so we look to hit that mark again for the 4th time in a row. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Next question. How long until the scheduling component is released? All right, we're agreed. We want to squeak up that wheel. We don't necessarily have a release date. It's Sage has assumed control of the production management code, and they are releasing production management 2.0. So once that's released, we got to take a look at what that code looks like, run our software through the compliancy, and kind of put together a timetable for some of the other functionality that we plan on release. But we need to see what that code looks like before we can put any real due dates or delivery dates out there. But stay tuned. You should, if not, maybe go to scanco.com and register for our newsletter.